Welcome back to another episode of the Everygirl Podcast. I just got back from Camp Everygirl, which was so much fun. Maybe I'll do a little recap Thursday or later if you guys are interested. But I am not doing video today because I need a minute to get myself back together. So if you normally watch this on YouTube, I am so sorry that we're not doing video today. She needed a minute, okay? But today we are diving into something that I genuinely believe is the most important episode we've ever done. Not because it's super, viral or really click worthy, but because this is the actual point of life. We talk on the show a lot about leveling up and reaching your goals, manifesting your dream life, improving your health, upgrading routines, becoming the best version of yourself. We talk about all of this a lot. But the point of doing all that is just to feel happier in your life. That's it. I hope every single thing you do, every thought you think, every goal you work toward, every habit and routine is all with the purpose of making you truly, deeply happier. Because if it's not, we've lost the plot. So, yeah, I feel like the goal of improving our lives and working toward goals is to be happy, so that we feel content every day, so that we wake up in the morning and not dread the day ahead of us, so that we get to make room and energy and capacity for joy. Like that is all the point of improving your life. And honestly, you guys, any self-improvement author or content creator or wellness influencer that doesn't constantly remind you that that is the real goal is, in my opinion, bullshit. So we can change our lives to be happier, but there's also a lot we can be doing today in our lives right now to be as happy as we possibly can. So today's episode is sharing some happy girl habits, the daily habits of the happiest women in the world. And I did some serious deep diving for this. I'm not just giving you the surface level advice that we've all heard 1,000 times, like, write 3 things you're grateful for. We are going deep today. I researched the latest neuroscience and psychology research. I pulled from ancient spiritual practices, from the world's longest running studies on happiness, and I looked into what the most content, lighthearted, grounded women actually do in their day-to-day lives. And maybe surprising to you or maybe not surprising, but in all of this research, I found that the happiest women in the world do not have perfect bodies or dream jobs or make millions of dollars or have romantic partners who bring them flowers every Thursday. So even though we often tell ourselves, I will be happy once I get this thing, once I get into a relationship, once I get a promotion, if I only had my dream job, if I only had more followers, if I only made more money, it's objectively not true. One of my slogans, I guess, that you probably hear me say a lot is that happiness is a skill, not a circumstance. It's something that you practice. It's not something you wait to happen to you. So what we're talking about today is how you practice it, how exactly you hone in the skill of happiness. By the end of this episode, you will walk away with tangible habits that, if you implement, they will dramatically improve your quality of life. They will actively make you stress less and experience more joy and gratitude and presence. And also, I think you'll walk away with a whole new definition of what it means to be happy. Now, before we get into the habits, I want to say something, okay? This is not an episode about toxic positivity, okay? This episode is not about forcing yourself to smile through when you're breaking down or feeling like you have to be super grateful even when you're struggling or pretend like everything's fine when it's not. Glennon Doyle always says all feelings are for feeling, even the hard ones. So we are not meant to be happy 24/7. In fact, I don't think that life would really feel as good if we were happy all the time. Imagine if you lived somewhere that was sunny and 75 degrees every single day of the year. And LA is pretty close to that. So I can tell you, if you live somewhere that every single day it was sunny, it was 75 degrees, all the plants would get super dry without rain, and you wouldn't really enjoy the sunshine. You only know to enjoy the sunshine because you know what it feels like to be in cloudy and cold weather. And also, I think sadness, anxiety, heartbreak, worry, these are all really beautiful emotions too. These are just byproducts of caring about your life, other people, yourself. Like the hard feelings mean that we are loving fully. And that's important for our happiness too. I actually don't think we are totally meant to avoid suffering. I think suffering is a beautiful part of being human. There's this spiritual story that I think about a lot where it's like, imagine you're this soul or this celestial energy, whatever it is, and the universe or God or the gods, whoever, says to you, hey, do you want to go to Earth for an incredibly short amount of time, like a blip? And you will experience every emotion that you could possibly feel as a human. You get to have all these experiences: love, heartache, anxiety, joy, euphoria, all of it. Do you want to do that? And your answer is, yeah, I do. I like to kind of imagine that we chose the range of emotions we get to experience as human beings, because what a privilege to love so much that it hurts when we lose someone, or to love our jobs or our lives so much that we stress and worry to keep it. This exactly happens in the end of the Barbie movie. Spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen the Barbie movie yet, shame on you. Okay. That's really your own fault at this point. But, at the end, when Barbie realizes she wants to be human, and the woman Ruth is like, are you sure? Being a human can be pretty uncomfortable. Humans make things up like patriarchy and Barbie just to deal with how uncomfortable it is to be a human, like pointing out all of these hard emotions that are an inevitable part of the human experience. And then Barbie takes her hands, take my hands and feels what it's like to be a human. She sees real women's laughter, struggles, fears, everyday life, youth, aging, love, the greatest highs, the dark depths, grief. And then she chooses this. I like to think that on a maybe spiritual level, we all had that choice in one way or another. Being a successful human is not feeling happiness all the time, 24/7. It's feeling the beautiful, complex, intense range of emotions that we get to experience as humans. And so I don't want you to think about this conversation about happiness as if you need to optimize so much that you feel happy constantly, because that would also, I think, look like numbness. You would be missing out on this incredible, beautiful human experience. So instead, it's really just about shifting your baseline. You're going to experience stress and grief and worry and fear and sadness, but with these habits that I'm going to share today, you can improve and raise your baseline level of happiness so that the everyday just overall feels happier and you experience more joy in addition to all the human emotions that you get to experience. So, here are 6 happy girl habits that you can start implementing today. Habit number 1: happy girls savor. They know how to savor their life habitually. And it's not just when they're on vacation in Italy or getting a promotion or kissing someone new, but they know how to savor in the ordinary, boring Tuesday afternoon parts of life. There's this amazing piece of research from Dr. Laurie Santos, who teaches Yale's most popular course, The Science of Well-Being. She found that happy people don't actually have better lives. Again, they're not the people that have the dream jobs, make millions of dollars, have the perfect relationship. The happiest people actually do not have better lives. They just have better skills for experiencing their lives. And one of the most important of those skills is savoring. It's so simple. Like, happiness isn't about what's happening, it's about how present you are for it. It's not what's happening in your life, it's how you experience whatever is happening. So, for example, you could be drinking the most delicious iced matcha latte on the planet, but if you're doom scrolling or rushing or mentally making your grocery list while sipping your latte, your brain doesn't even register it as pleasure. It just becomes background noise. Meanwhile, the happiest people in the world could be drinking a $1 disgusting cup of diner coffee and feeling deep pleasure and genuine joy with it because they're fully there for it. They're savoring the smell, the warmth, the moment. There's a term in psychology called hedonic adaptation, which basically means that no matter how great something is or how much you enjoy it, our brain will get used to it. So like your new apartment, you will stop appreciating the exposed brick or the view or thinking about how spacious it is compared to your last place. You will just get used to it. Your new relationship, you will eventually find them less exciting. You'll stop noticing all the little things you loved about them like you did in the beginning. Maybe you will even find more things to be annoyed about. Even if your dream life fell into your lap, the novelty would fade unless you actively work against this adaptation. So happy girls work against it on purpose. And how you work against it, there are two things for you to start doing, two different habits to implement. Number one, I want you to pick one mundane moment every day, brushing your hair, eating lunch, pouring your tea, putting lotion on after a shower, and just savor it. Think about how it feels. What are your senses experiencing? Like, really just focus on savoring the pleasure in whatever that mundane moment is. And then another amazing tool is something called beginner's mind. It's something that you see a lot in Buddhist psychology, and it's also talked a lot about in neuroscience. And it's basically experiencing something familiar as if it's brand new. So you can ask yourself, what would I do if I were experiencing this for the first time? How would I eat this Trader Joe's frozen meal as if it was the first time I ever tried it? How would I walk through this neighborhood if this was my first time ever coming here? How would I enjoy this dinner with my partner if this was the first time I got to sit and have a meal with this person? How would I, look at my own face even if this was the first time I got to see this face? This literally wakes up your brain. It refreshes your neural patterns and it shifts you from autopilot to aliveness, which is so crucial for how you experience your entire life, which will then improve your happiness baseline. Habit number two, the happiest girls are fluent in their own intuition and their body's signals. Dr. Tara Swart, who's a neuroscientist and a former psychiatrist, who's basically the queen of combining science and spirituality. She's been a senior lecturer at MIT, and she's written books like The Source, where she breaks down how our brain, nervous system, and even energy affects how we think, feel, and live. And she talks a lot about something called interoception and how it's a key factor of happiness. Interoception is your brain's ability to perceive internal signals from your body. It's basically listening to your body and your intuition. And I don't mean in like the, okay, we can push through this workout or like the trust your gut kind of way. It's like how your body is actually communicating with you. Like think like the flutter in your stomach when something feels off, or that tightness in your chest that you feel before having a really hard conversation, or maybe it's like the warmth in your belly when you're around someone that you trust, how your shoulders relax when you come home. Even just very subtle changes in your heart rate, your breathing pattern, how tense your limbs feel, just like the general feeling that you can't shake if something feels off to you, or that deep knowing in your gut when something feels right. It's basically like the emotional intelligence of your body. Now, because most of us are programmed to trust all outside opinions besides our own, but also because of factors like anxiety, most of us are so used to overriding these signals that we don't even know they're happening. And ignoring these signals is what leads to numbness, disassociation, burnout, feeling stuck. Dr. Swart talks about how many of us are just walking around so overstimulated, distracted, and disassociated that we don't even know what we feel physically or emotionally. And that disconnection is one of the biggest blocks to true happiness. When you are constantly disconnected from your body's cues, even, hunger, appetite, tension, excitement, exhaustion, you end up running on autopilot, which will then lead to emotional burnout, poor decisions, anxiety, low energy, and low mood. Dr. Swart even links interoception to better mental clarity, higher emotional intelligence, and yes, more sustained happiness. And it's not just Dr. Swartz. Studies have found that with high interoceptive awareness, meaning they can feel and name internal cues, have lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. So the happiest women, whether this is conscious or subconscious, don't wait until they're overwhelmed or spiraling or burnt out to practice interception and check in on signals from their bodies. They check in constantly. It's a constant communication. If you are listening right now and you feel like you have pretty good interoception, like you do feel connected to the signals from your body, and you know what I'm talking about when I say that, you can start practicing a little more by getting just even more aware, before making plans, before saying yes to a project at work, before even like a big thing like moving to a new city, getting into a new relationship. Check in with how your body is responding to that. Is it excited or happy about that? Or is there some resistance or tension? What is your body trying to tell you about whatever decision you're making? And if right now you're listening like, what the fuck are you talking about, Josie? My body does not talk to me. I have no idea what you mean. That's totally okay. That is our world's conditioning. I would start with setting aside 3 different times a day. Maybe if it's like with each meal, maybe if it's first thing when you wake up and then once before bed and then another time in the afternoon, or maybe it's like you set a timer for 3 different times during the day. Just whatever it is, having a reminder to check in with how your body is feeling at 3 different points every single day. And all you have to do for this is just scan your body. Where do you feel tightness or tingling or warmth or any discomfort? And then just name one sensation. My chest feels heavy. My arms are feeling light. My stomach is fluttering. My hips are storing a lot of tension. And then over time after practicing, you will start doing this naturally. You won't need a timer or set times. You will just begin to notice when your body communicates with you, and you will notice what it needs earlier, which is crucial for so many things. But for the sake of this episode, it is a key factor to improve happiness. So just trust me and try it. I know it's one of those things where if you don't feel that connection with your body, you'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? But you will know what I'm talking about when you practice it enough. I swear eventually it will click and you will know exactly what I mean when I talk about interoception. Habit number 3, the happiest girls always pause on the good. You know how your coworkers can give you a ton of compliments, but then the one negative piece of feedback from your boss will stick with you. Like your coworkers and managers always tell you, that's a great presentation, or, oh, you make my job so much easier. But if your boss gives you the one note of, hey, next time, double check that slide, that is all you will think about for the next week. Or for me, I get so many DMs, or, not so many DMs, but you know what I mean? I love you guys. I love hearing from you. I love when you let me know how much you love the podcast. But then if there's one negative review that will literally ruin my day and stick with me forever. Our brains are wired for negativity. It's a survival mechanism, and it's called the negativity bias. So our brains evolved to prioritize retaining bad news because back in the caveman days, remembering which berries killed your cousin was a little more important than remembering which view of the sunset looked the prettiest. But nowadays, this mechanism may be making you unhappy because it means your brain holds on to threats, criticism, rejection, and it lets the joy and confidence and the love kind of slip away unnoticed. So you need to intentionally counteract this. Neuroscientist Dr. Rick Hansen calls this tending your emotional immune system, or installing good. He explains that every time you intentionally stay with a positive experience, you're literally strengthening the neural circuits of calm, confidence, and safety in your brain, which of course are important bases of happiness. So just like taking vitamins for your body, think of it like this is emotional nutrition for your mind. When I had business coach Liz Tran on the podcast, she said something very similar, that you should stay with any piece of positive feedback for at least 7 seconds, because that's about how long it takes your brain to register that it's something worth keeping and retaining. So here's your happy girl habit. When anything good happens, when someone praises you at work, when you get a text that makes you smile, when you receive a compliment, or even if you're just like having a moment where you're laughing with your friends and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I love my friends. Let yourself feel that emotion that comes up for like 20 seconds. Like sit in that emotion, stay with that positive experience. When you do this consistently, you're literally rewiring your brain. You are counteracting the negativity bias to wire your brain to know that the good things are important to retain. So you not only experience the good stuff more, but then you will notice more good things too. And over time, that will become your new baseline. So the happiest women aren't the ones who have more good things happen to them. They're just the ones who notice the good things more and let themselves feel them. Habit number 4, the happiest girls feel the emotion of awe on a regular basis. AWE. It's a very difficult word to say. So the habit that I want you to adapt is deliberate awe exposure. God, awe is such a weird word. This is going to be so weird to say this so many times. It's one of those words that you don't really say out loud. It sounds like you're like in a yoga class or you're seeing a cute old married couple holding hands in the subway, like, aw. So bear with me because it's going to be hard for me to say this out loud so many times. But awe. And now I've really psyched myself out. But that feeling when something is so beautiful or vast or mysterious that it stops you in your tracks is one of the most powerful emotions that you can feel as a human being. And research after research shows that this is a huge key to the difference between general contentment, feeling okay about life, and being really happy. Research has shown that when we experience awe, activity in the brain's default mode network, that part that's constantly replaying, our to-do list, self-critiques, anxieties, this part of the brain shuts down. And we even have this experience when we feel awe where your ego also kind of shuts down and then you feel like time almost slows down because of the effect on the brain. Just to get a little spiritual for a sec, because I think this is a big part of awe too. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the description of spirituality being this feeling of oneness. Like I learned about this studying Buddhism, and then even this principle also shows up in Hinduism. It's like this concept of like in life, we're all these individual droplets of water, right? And spirituality, energy, what happens after we die is like going back into the ocean. It's this deep feeling of oneness, the individual drop of water going back into the ocean. Like I am not separate from you or from this tree. We are all one. That sounds very Lion King. I know that's getting like super like, whoa, but to me, the feeling of awe is so incredible because when you're watching a sunset, when you're standing in front of the ocean or you're hearing your baby's laugh for the first time, you suddenly feel small, but in like the most peaceful, freeing way, right? It's not small like insignificant, it's small like belonging. I think of this awe as a little glimpse into this oneness that these spiritual teachers and thousands of years of practice have taught. Oprah, my queen, also talks about awe as her spiritual anchor, and she says, when I'm in awe, I remember that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. So I think awe is really important for our happiness because it's this much deeper soul recognition. Like it shifts our perspective and it connects us to something bigger, whatever that means to you, whether it's a God, to each other, to the world, whatever it is. And if you're not into the spirituality of it all, there is so much fascinating research and science explaining the impact and importance of awe. Research also found that even brief experiences of awe, literally just 10 minutes a day, can elevate your mood and reduce inflammation in your body, like have a physical health effect for days after that 10-minute experience. So if you've ever gone on a hike or heard an orchestra and you felt that shit in your soul, it is not just your imagination. That is your nervous system recalibrating itself. Like awe is literally your body's natural antidepressant. So a habit to practice is, again, deliberate awe exposure. And this is kind of a two-parter. So first of all, of course, seek out things that make you feel awe. I think travel, even going to like the next town over, is a really important priority, not only for exposure for different cultures and worlds and people who are not like you. I think that's such an important part of well-being, but also because it provides this opportunity for awe when we get exposure to something new. And then, get to know what makes you feel awe. I love Broadway because a good Broadway show makes me feel awe. It really does. And re listening to the music gives me that feeling all over again. Maybe it's eating a really good food. Maybe it's a certain type of film or music, certain things in nature. Go outside and watch the sky change colors. Look at a tree as if you're seeing it for the first time. Listen to music that gives you chills. Watch a video of someone doing something extraordinary. Give yourself the moments and opportunities to feel awe, even in little ways every day. But the other part of deliberate awe exposure is just to feel more awe for your own life that you already have. Again, research has shown that these moments of micro awe, which is just like small, everyday bursts of wonder, are just as effective as the feeling you get when you hike to the top of the mountain and look out at the view. I think this is one of the most amazing lessons that my mom has taught me, and one of the main things that I hope to pass on to my kids. She gets so excited about the littlest things, and she really appreciates beauty everywhere. Like when we've been on vacation, ever since I was little, she would just be in awe of everything. And she would want to take pictures of like the most random plant because she found such beauty in it. And you don't have to be on vacation. Like when you're going for a walk, can you experience awe? My favorite way to feel awe, again, I'm saying that word so much and it's getting so weird, so I'm going to try to stop. But my favorite way to experience that is what I've talked about before, thinking about like, oh my God, younger me would have loved this life. Like, can you make yourself feel that, wow, that wonder for your own life? Awe is an emotion that most of us rarely feel on a regular basis, but it's also something that if you practice it every day in the most smallest micro ways, it will transform your entire being. Seriously, people around you will notice this powerful energy shift and ask you what's different. I swear you will experience life in such a drastically different way. And then the last happy girl habit I'm going to share today is the happiest girls experience meta gratitude. They thank the hard things. So I know, obviously, you've heard the advice to make a gratitude list. You've probably heard the advice until you're blue in the face. Write down 3 things you're grateful for before going to bed or in the morning. And honestly, there's real science behind that. I don't mean to minimize it. Gratitude is one of the strongest predictors of happiness. Research shows that people who practice gratitude regularly experience higher dopamine and serotonin levels. They sleep better, they have stronger immune systems, and they report overall greater satisfaction in life. Gratitude changes the chemistry of your brain. But the happiest people in the world don't just feel gratitude for the good things, they feel gratitude for the hard things too. Being thankful for the sunshine and your dog and your morning cup of coffee is, of course, so beautiful. But the women who have real emotional freedom, who are like that deep soul level happy, also thank the heartbreak that taught them how to love better, the failure that forced them to redefine success, the rejection that redirected them somewhere better. They are not pretending the pain was pleasant or that they weren't suffering. They were acknowledging that that pain had a purpose, and they feel gratitude for that. I was at an event one time in Malibu, and there was this incredible energy healer there who had written all these books and done all this research. I totally forgot his name, and now I cannot find him anywhere, so I'm sorry I cannot credit him. I'm going to keep looking, and if I remember his name, I will share with you guys. But that day he said something that completely changed the way that I see everything. He has apparently helped people heal from cancer and has helped people make a full recovery after an accident where they were supposed to never walk again. Like, he has healed tens of thousands of people from crazy stuff. There was a documentary done on him. Some of his patients were there at this event. So he was giving this talk and people were asking him questions, and someone asked, okay, how do you do it? How are you making people fully heal from all these crazy things? Like, you are performing miracles. And he said, I teach people to be grateful for cancer, grateful for the accident, grateful for the depression or the illness. And then it always heals. Everybody's only grateful for the good things, but real deep healing happens when you're grateful for the bad things. That is true gratitude. And that's when your body and brain will heal from them. Now, obviously, not giving you medical advice here, and I still have not figured out exactly how to be grateful for the things that we don't want or that causes all this suffering. I'm still on a journey to find that out for myself. But just that answer and that mentality, that mindset really shifted something in me. It was this aha moment of like, wow, gratitude is not just grateful for the sunshine and our friends and our job. It's grateful for the things that are hard too, because it's like our true self, our soul gets to learn all these amazing things and have this expansion and growth because of the hard things. We as human beings get to learn and grow and expand and learn about life and love and success because we got fired from the job or because we got broken up with or that difficult relationship with a family member or friend. And there's, of course, science behind this too. Functional MRI studies show that when you assign meaning to difficult events, activity shifts from the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for fear and stress, to different regions like the prefrontal cortex, which handles logic, empathy, and growth. So basically, in other words, the brain actually shows when you assign meaning to difficult events, when you can think of it like, I went through this for a reason, or look what I learned, or I'm grateful for this hard thing because it taught me a lesson. The brain scans show you experience less fear and stress, and you experience more growth, which is such a key part to deep happiness. It's not just to feel gratitude for the good things, but to feel gratitude for the hard stuff too. So, how you can practice this in your day to day. This is probably the hardest habit of all to practice, and I think it will be a lifelong journey. But one way to practice this is to write a short letter or do a short meditation about a situation in your life that was difficult for you. It can be, writing a letter to a certain person who wronged you or a time in your life or a certain feeling or experience, and just acknowledge what it taught you, what that experience gave you. Again, it's not about forgiveness. That is something between you and your therapist, okay? That's not what I'm interested in for the sake of this. It's just about reframing events so that we can start to look at it like, wow, that was so hard, but look what it's done for me to go through that. So that you can maybe shift a little bit to feel that gratitude for the hard things. So for example, like, you can write, "Dear 2020, you were fucking brutal, but you taught me how resilient I am." Or, "Dear heartbreak, you really showed me the kind of love that I deserve and taught me what to look for in a partner that would truly make me happy. I wouldn't have had this knowledge without you." Over time, when you get used to this, when you get used to finding gratitude in hard things, this practice will rewire the story that you tell yourself about your life. Gratitude stops being this highlight reel of happy moments and it becomes something deeper. You start to see that even the darkest chapters of your life were part of your evolution. Because happiness isn't the absence of pain, it's the ability to find meaning inside of it. The happiest women are not just counting their blessings, although they're certainly doing that too, but they're also acknowledging and appreciating the lessons learned from the hard stuff too. So those are 5 habits of the happiest women in the world. I hope that you learned something or got inspired in some way. And just to mention something, relationships and our connection to other people, experiencing empathy, having deep relationships, this is above and beyond one of the most important pillars of happiness. But today I just really wanted to focus on what you can do without any relationship with anyone else, like just by yourself. And mainly, I feel like I really need a whole other episode to expand on the importance of relationships and what relationships need to look like or how you need to show up in relationships in order to be adding to our health and happiness. Because, my God, we are getting it so wrong with how most of our relationships look today. And most of our social lives and even just like connections, whether it's family or significant other, are making us more unhappy instead of happier. So if you want a whole episode on that, let me know. I will definitely record that for you because I could just go off on a tangent. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. If nothing else, I hope what you take away from this is happiness is not found in achieving the next goal or losing weight or getting a relationship or making more money. I promise you, no matter how much you've been conditioned to think that achieving or changing something will make you happy, it psychologically is not true. Happiness is not what your life looks like, it's how you experience the life that you already have. And I hope you always remember that. Thank you for listening and for being a part of this community. If you love this episode, leave a comment on Spotify. You know I read all of them. Share it on your Instagram stories and tag the Everygirl Podcast, or send it to the friend who's always chasing the next thing but deserves to feel happy right now. And please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to support our show. Let's make happy girl habits the new wellness trend that we actually need. I love you guys, and I will see you on Thursday. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at the Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or at theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.